Ready to dive into emerging tech's game-changing potential? You're in the right place. Diehard Tech is where you can hear from speakers representing blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and other rapidly evolving tech stacks. Let's welcome Richard Coates, Engineering Director at BYTE. All you gamers out there will understand the importance of non-player characters, or NPCs, in a game's personality and storyline. To build a truly great metaverse experience, Richard believes you need a truly great cast of NPC too.
Hi there, I'm Richard Coates, Engineering Director at BYTE, and I'm here today to talk about NPCs in the Metaverse. An NPC is a non-player character, and well-crafted NPCs are a key component of any good Metaverse experience. The best Metaverse experiences have loads of participants, and the reason that makes them so good is down to the 3 I's: interaction, instruction, and inspiration. Interaction is all about communicating with other people. Humans are inherently social creatures, and whether it's in real life or in the Metaverse, the best Metaverse experiences will be those that have people interacting with one another. That will encourage people to return to the game, and it will also foster organic sharing because people will want to bring more people into the game to improve the interaction even more so. The second I is instruction. If your Metaverse experience is really complicated, or even if it relies on a very specific game engine, then the participants in that experience are going to need instructions. And what better way to get an idea of how to play a game than to watch another character playing it? That would be great if it's another human, another participant, but it's just as good if it's a non-player character as well. And the third thing that you need is inspiration. If you've got lots of characters in a Metaverse experience, then there's going to be elements of competition or camaraderie. This is how you get things that work well over time. And if you've got lots of participants, that will create lots of inspiration to return to the game and lots of replayability. The problem is that you need lots of participants to get these things, but in order to get these things, you need lots of participants. And this is what we call the cold start problem, where you have to start from nothing. And this has been solved by video games by creating non-player characters to populate a world so that you get interaction, instruction, and inspiration without having lots and lots of real-world participants from the very beginning. And therefore, well-crafted non-player characters are key to the very best Metaverse experiences. So what makes a well-crafted NPC? Well, firstly, you need really good dialogue and interaction. This relies on your creatives and your copywriters, ensuring that the experience isn't repetitive or generic. Speaking of generic, the second thing is that you need to respond to the user. You can't just pop out generic statements. Otherwise, you might as well just have the instructions written down on a virtual piece of paper as part of the experience. A non-player character has to be exactly that. It has to be a character. It has to be something that responds to what's happening in the world. And thirdly, you need to make sure that the NPCs are not a distraction. They need to complement the experience and not replace it. This means that the dialogue has to guide the player without telling them exactly what to do. And it has to ensure that chatting to bots isn't the entire experience, that they're just part of the greater piece of the Metaverse puzzle. Now that you've crafted your NPC creatively, how do you make it technically? Well, there's 4 types of tools that you need. The first of these is the understanding, the ability to take what the user is doing or what the world is doing and turn that into something that's useful. There's 2 parts to this. First of all, you've got to pass the stream of information. So that might require doing things like speech to text, or understanding the movements of a player, or even understanding the different things that are happening in the world. And then you need to craft that into some kind of intent using natural language processing software. There's a bunch of those out there. The most common ones are things like Dialogflow, Watson, Luis, Lex. And once you've crafted that, you've got a good idea of what the NPC is supposed to be responding to. Then you can generate the response. But the response itself has to come out naturally. And for that, you need 2 more things. Secondly, you need text-to-speech, so that the NPC responds in a way that is natural, usually with voice, but it can also be with natural language generation software. And finally, you've got to ensure that the animation of the non-player character in the metaverse matches up to what it's saying, so that it can either guide the player through physical movement, or look like it's talking, look like a natural character within the game. And if you get all of these things right, then the well-crafted NPC, through your creative point of view, is going to embed itself within the metaverse experience and complement the rest of it. And that means that the participants in the metaverse experience can get that interaction, instruction, and inspiration that they're so craving. And that will add an extra dimension to your metaverse experience and make it the very best it can be. If you'd like to learn more about the way that BYTE is creating the very best metaverse experiences, please feel free to contact me. We look forward to sharing our metaverse knowledge with you, particularly when it comes to non-player characters. Thanks very much.